So let's just jump right into it. What if you could take one of the most intense, most subjective experiences a person can have, the feeling of reality literally dissolving around you, and describe it with the cold, hard language of mathematics? Well, that's exactly what we're going to explore today, a wild model that tries to connect those two worlds. It all starts with first-hand accounts, like this one, from someone trying to explain what they saw. They talk about watching the world just dissolve, and in its place, something else appears. What they can only describe as the blueprints of the world, the actual skeleton that holds reality together. The question is, what on earth is that skeleton? People who've been there often describe it as taking a field trip to an alternate reality. Some go even further, calling it a death simulation. But a really common theme is this feeling of entering a reverse mirror image of the world. Everything feels flipped, inverted, but just as real as what you're used to. And what's this inside-out world actually made of? Well, the description that keeps coming up is language and light. Now, we're not talking about English or Spanish, but some kind of fundamental syntax, a deep grammar that structures existence itself. I know, it sounds pretty out there, right? But what if the key to understanding this isn't in some ancient mystical text, but in pure, clean geometry? So let's hit pause on the mystical for a second and step into the world of pure math. We're going to look at a specific geometric operation that might just be the blueprint for the blueprints. It's a thing called circle inversion, and to put it simply, it's a mathematical recipe for performing a literal inside-out flip. Just picture a circle on a piece of paper. Inversion takes every single point inside that circle and flings it to the outside. At the exact same time, it pulls every point from the outside to the inside. It's a perfect geometric reversal. And this flip isn't just chaotic, it's incredibly precise. There's this elegant little formula that dictates exactly where every single point lands. But here's the key thing you need to know. The closer a point is to the center of the circle before the flip, the farther away it gets thrown after the flip. It is a perfect mathematical inside-out turn. Okay, so what does this inside-out flip actually do to shapes? Well, most circles just become different circles. Kind of neat. But here's where it gets really wild. Any circle that just so happens to pass through the dead center of our inversion circle, it gets transformed into a perfectly straight line. You hear that? It turns complex curves into simple, fundamental lines. So we've got this really cool geometric trick on our hands. But let's be real. The big question is, how could any of this abstract math possibly relate to what's happening inside a living human brain? I mean, think about it. We have these powerful, vivid reports of experiencing an inside-out world. And over here, we have a mathematical tool that performs a literal inside-out flip. Is that just a bizarre coincidence? Or is something much, much deeper going on here? Well, incredibly, when neuroscientists actually looked at what happens to the brain during these states, they found a system completely turned on its head. The brain's normal top-down organization just dissolves. Whole networks decouple from each other. At the very same time, parts of the brain that almost never talk suddenly light up in a state of global hyperconnectivity. And maybe the weirdest part of all, the very direction of the brain's traveling waves flips into reverse. And right there, that's the punchline. When you put all of those neurological changes together, it looks like the brain is performing its own biological version of a geometric inversion. It's flipping its information processing inside out, dissolving its internal boundaries, and reversing its own flow. This isn't just some poetic metaphor. It's a stunning structural parallel. So, okay, if the brain is actually performing this crazy inversion, what is it that's being revealed? What is this blueprint, this language that people are so sure they're seeing? To get that answer, we need one last piece of this geometric puzzle. It turns out circle inversion is a very special kind of transformation known as a conformal map, and it has one truly magical property. It always preserves angles. It can stretch things, it can shrink them, it can completely warp distances, but the angles where lines intersect, they stay exactly the same. Now just stop and think about what that really means for a second. During this inversion, all the surface-level details, like how big something is or where it's located, get totally scrambled. But the deep structure, the relationships between things, which are represented by their angles, that gets preserved perfectly. The raw data changes, but the core information makes it through the flip intact. And that, according to this theory, is the answer. The language or syntax people are seeing is this preserved information. It's the fundamental set of rules and relationships that structure reality itself, which only become visible when all the superficial stuff like size and location gets stripped away by the brain's own geometric flip. You're not seeing the objects anymore, you're seeing the blueprint they were built from. Okay, this model gives us a kind of syntax for the mind. But if reality truly has a fundamental grammar, shouldn't we see hints of it on the largest possible scale? So let's zoom out, way out, from the human brain to the entire cosmos. Some pretty mind-bending cosmological models are now speculating that everything we see out there, galaxies, stars, even the fabric of space-time, isn't the bottom layer. Instead, it might all emerge from a single underlying substrate, a kind of cosmic quantum superfluid. And this is where it all comes together. What if our individual consciousness is essentially a matrix of information? And what if that matrix is built using the very same fundamental syntax as that cosmic superfluid? It's a truly staggering thought, right? That a geometric transformation happening inside your brain could, theoretically, allow you to perceive the source code of the universe itself. So we're left with this absolutely wild idea. The possibility that underneath the surface of everything we see and touch, there's a hidden mathematical language, a set of geometric rules that governs not only the cosmos, but the very structure of our own consciousness. And if that's true, it just begs the ultimate question. What else is that language trying to tell us?